In other news, I think something I saw online, like Trio Mio was in the um in the news, the news being Twitter, like a few posts on the news. But he was in the news, and people were talking about how just the difference from how Trio Mio was back then. I think where he popped off, maybe what 2020. I don't know. It was during the pandemic, though. I know. Like he's been around for a minute. So he popped off then, and then like right now, and he popped off, and he seemed like he had so much momentum behind him. But then now, like, so the discourse was that all right, Chiomio is a bit cold, and he's not really doing as well. Of course, he's been releasing music. He's dropped a couple of singles recently, and so it's not like he's been cold. But then by cold, I mean he's not been releasing music, but people are saying that he's not as buzzing as usual. And so I just want to like talk about that a little bit. There was a guy called Kijana Misa. I hope I'm saying that right. And he was the one who I think I saw the most out of it. The rise and quiet fade of Trio Mio. So he popped up in 2022. After finishing school, everything changed. I'm reading his tweet, a little bit of his tweet because it's long. Everything changed. Fans moved to campus, started adulting. Trio faded from playlists. The same people who sang his songs daily now barely remember him. That's debatable. This reveals a common Kenyan habit. We passionately love young, fresh artists while they speak our teenage language. Once both the artists and the fans grow up, we quickly move on to the next wave. And then he also said the biggest mistake Trio made was having his own mother, who has no knowledge of the entertainment industry, as his manager. The young talent had a bright future in the music industry, but for some reason the limelight faded. Imagine Major hopping on your song for a remix, then landing a collabo with Scam Cardinali and many others to be just to be remembered for an Indomie advert. I think Major hopped on Chisakamawe. Was that? Yeah, back then. Dang, Trio has been around for a minute, man. Yeah, so I did find this interesting. So after that, I like really went in to like see what was what are the fabrics of him being around. And because of course the subject of this is Trio Mio, but then I think there's a broader implication of artists and kind of how they fade. A parallel I would draw with his career, and the similarities is probably like the Gengetone is the groups, the bands that came up during the pandemic doing like the whole Gengetone music, Ethic and them, right? There's also been a little bit of a fade, where they're not being looked at as the guys anymore. Like back then, Trio Mio was like the soundtrack for a lot of high schoolers, man. Like he came out when he was 16, maybe. I think that's what I saw.
Yeah.
That's super young. So if you see an artist doing that at that young age, like it's so cool. Him being in high school himself, like that's like a whole audience that you can gain for yourself. But then now the conversations that as he grows up and as he moves on in the industry, like you begin to encounter different things within the industry that sort of make you fade away, fade off. And so that's kind of, I mean, it's not really a question, but it's just like a conversation that I wanted to have about that. First of all, do you think this is a natural process, I guess, for artists, right? Do you think like an artist like him going through this natural process of popping off and then like fading out, do you think like that's a negative on his career, or is it like part of the course?
I mean, it's just the ebb and flow of being an artist. I wouldn't like listen. Like the greats always find a way to be great. Like honestly, all he needs to do is, just lock in. I don't know if the music is resonating as much. If it's not, then you can always recalibrate. Also, he's really young still, so he can really just like figure out how to connect with the audience better, I guess. The whole point about his mom and the managing, to be honest, I don't know too much about that.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really speak on that situation. That's separate. Like there are reasons for that. So
yeah, so I don't know, but like but when we talk about the whole Gengetone movement or the whole music that was popping during the pandemic, and why that died, that's a whole entire podcast. There was also a lot of censorship that had to happen, or that people wanted to do because they didn't like the subject matter, or they didn't feel like it was a good representation for what youth in Kenya should be listening to, or how they should be expressing themselves.
Yeah.
So I feel like the whole Gengetone thing, like they went through, and then also the main players like Kina Ethic, they had their whole internal issues with management and who they're signed to and who's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like then they had to take like a hiatus, and now they're
And
releasing music, but
yeah.
it's just not
the
the
industry has
same.
moved.
The industry has moved
Yeah.
on. And even if we talk about urban tone as a genre, that's also really falling off as like the main focus. It's the cycle of the industry we exist in, especially because we have so many different genres to choose from. This our industry has so many different sounds and appeals to so many different people. Like and that's just it. Like there's so many different things competing to be at the top.
Yeah.
It was urban tone like 2 years ago, and last year and this year the focus has been on the Afro house stuff. But even the Afro house stuff is a bit. It's shifting.
It is like
I
it's
feel
going
like
to be that's music though. It's going to be
it's
a wave.
music,
It's
yeah.
going to be here today, then gone tomorrow, and then recycle itself. It's just going to keep recycling.
I feel like right now we are squarely in the era of the Afro pop, like the Watenda Willies. Like even when we were at the mic check thing, and
Yeah.
and they kept on saying, yeah, you like okay, so they were playing games, and then you had to be in groups, and then the groups had to choose a song. So many people were always gravitating to Watenda Willie songs. I think Watenda Willie are like on top, like just naturally.
Yeah.
Like Watenda Willie are representative of the sound that Kenyans want to hear at the moment. Am I crazy for saying that?
No, I think those are facts. They
Yeah.
definitely have the streets.
And it'll
And
move
that
to
sound,
something
that
else.
style of sound as well.
But
has the
and then
streets.
it'll move to something else.
It will.
Right?
Yeah,
Maybe
it will.
hip hop stan will come again.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Hip hop will return. Just stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It might be tuned in for a long time. It'll be a long
But
time,
yeah,
but it will come back eventually.
And that's the thing about music and art in general. It's always cyclical, right? And even fashion trends. Now everybody's trying to be Y2K, but that's gonna fade. We're gonna go back to the skinny jeans. We're gonna go back to all these
Can't
things.
imagine that.
I know, horrible.
Like I've seen like now I'm
Hated
very
skinny
comfortable.
jeans.
I'm very comfortable with like everyone wearing like oversized
I
three
love
sizes
it.
too much. Like I've seen over the weekend I saw a guy in skinny jeans. Like I don't know where I was, but he was walking in with his girl. Obviously then she walked in, I was like, okay, cool, she's dressed well. Then he walked in and he was wearing like I'm talking about the tightest of pants, and I was like,
Yikes.
oh, I'm so happy we moved away from this. Like it just looks crazy. Like your thighs are all out. It's ridiculous, man. But
No,
yeah,
I hate
we
it.
need to move
but
past
but
that.
yeah, what I'm saying is like it's all cyclical. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
just wait your turn.
it's cool. I think it's actually interesting because you brought up like the three major reasons why that fall off is sort of seen. One is usually management, right? A lot of the guys who they pop off, like you talked about, was it Ethic you were just talking about, who you pop off, and these are just guys who enjoy making music and they just love it, but they don't necessarily have the right tools in their
Arsenal.
exactly. And so like they go for like their friend as managers or someone or not even that. Like sometimes they might go for like management deals, but then they are not really tuned into what that person is doing. And so they end up suffering for that. So that's one of the biggest reasons. And that's like a lesson for newer artists. Like if you do pop off, if you have like a viral moment like Trio had back then with Cheza Kamawe, and then he also had I keep saying it wrong. Sipangwingwi, is that how you pronounce that? Yeah. So he's had a whole bunch of, and that was also pretty early on in his career. And so if you don't have, the thing about management is if you don't have the right people to sort of guide that to a future goal, some managers are only focused on, okay, you have a hit song. What can we do to maximize the visibility that hit song is giving you right now? Right. And so so then you get endorsements, you get all of these different things. But then what you find out is that you've not laid foundations for a later career or laid foundations for yourself to be to keep creating later on. So then that's what happens where now people are looking at you like, okay, you did fall off. So that's number one. It's just figuring out management. People fight with their rights, they fight royalties, and when you come up, you just take whatever just because you've made it at that point. The second one, which you did talk about, is like the shift in genres and genre waves and stuff. Like that's always going to happen. Like you said, the greats are going to find a way to adapt to it, and so the scene is always changing. So how are you going to work and either maintain your identity in a changing scene or change your identity in a way that you don't lose yourself as things progress? And then the third one is, and we had talked about it, I think, a little bit last week, the whole thing about albums and stuff. Usually when you pop off and you're making viral music, or you pop off and making singles and some of them are like popping up and it's like viral songs, a lot of that, like you don't have like a catalog that keeps you in the game. It's all singles and it's all of just very quick music, right? And
But
so
not really quick, but it's like it's what's the word? Not temporary. There's
microwave.
not microwave. Like you can, if you're only releasing singles, like those songs could be dated like 5 years.
Okay, yeah.
From so they're very like
Albums have more
momentary.
longevity.
They're very momentary. Albums have a little bit more longevity than singles.
Yeah, so that would be the thing. Like if you pop off and then, like I said, if you don't have the right management behind you, and so you're not aware of everything going on and how the culture is shifting, then it's very easy for you to like just get lost and drop off. So it is a natural thing. I mean, this whole discourse with Trio Mio is not exclusive to him. I think it's something that happens to a lot of artists when they come out and they make a hit song and it sounds really good. What happened to that girl? Remember the one who was, is it Kavevo Kazoza? That
Yeah. But you know how she was being taken advantage of.
Yeah, and see, that's part of it too. And
when management and stuff like that.
You don't have the right people around you to sort of advise. So it's
Nesh.
So it's just important to look at that, especially as you pop off. Like, look at that and see the future of your career. It just don't look at, okay, brands are reaching out to me, or I'm getting a couple of looks from people. Okay, I'm getting features from guys like Major and them who are on top of the world and stuff like that. Like, it's really important to just see the future and plan yourself accordingly and have the right things in place. Lawyers, all that stuff that make for a serious is the wrong word, that make for a successful career. But yeah, like I'm saying, the whole discourse with him is not isolated to him. I think it's something that happens. So it's like something that we should be aware of and not be too harsh on some of these artists, because they came in and they didn't necessarily know what was going on, or they didn't have the tools. So like, yeah, fine, he might not be on top as he was back then, but like, does that mean like you stop supporting him?
It doesn't.
So yeah, that was cool.